Shalom, giving all praises to Yahweh Bashem Shai, Bahashem Makah HaKadosh, double honors to all the apostles, a great millstone, do real well. Peace, love, and blessings to the brothers on the highways and byways, giving all diligence to make a call and election sure, and blessings to the very few sisters that listen, learning, and believing. I'm that fellow Abraham Kanakla, coming at you once again with another lesson. Lord's will through the Spirit and power, Yahweh Bashem Shai. There's lessons that I find also exhorting. And again, going into, World War III. I guess I'll call it World War III update. Which you see, Trump, he called it off, saying, he chose not to strike Iran. The protests, they're not gonna hang the protesters or whatever the case may be. But going into it, as you see here from this video, why Iran is considered one of the most complex military targets. So it's going to be a little bit more complicated, than the average third world country, which Iran isn't even a third world country. They're very powerful and a well-established, sophisticated country, all right, which the U.S. is now finding that out, that, this is not Iraq, this is not Afghanistan, all right, and Iran has been preparing, all right, to engage, to come in contact with the U.S. for a while, okay? And it has allies like, predominantly Russia and China, okay, that has been assisting them, in its preparation, which is also biblical prophecy, Ezekiel the 38th chapter, okay? But Iran will be, America going into Iran will be the end of America, end of the Babylon Great biblical prophecy. All right. And, this is going to be the trap that's laid for them. And we know, according to prophecy, the least of the flock, the small hats, okay, that little state, okay, the Israeli state will drag them into this war. All right, so I got two videos, one from 2 days ago, one from 4 days ago. All right, Iran missile. Tehran unveils it's like a new monster weapon capable of hitting U.S. amid tensions. So see, the tensions are high, but we already know, man. We've seen the evidence. And, of course, starting with the biblical prophecy, that Iran is the last target, all right, for the U.S. government. Okay, Iran is in a strategic place in the Middle East. They have great influence, and they're in a position, specifically, they control the northern part of the Strait of Hormuz. Okay, which a lot of the oil, travels. The global oil supply travels through there, so they can, get position, do a regime change in Iran, they can control those resources or assets, so to say. But again, this is a lot more complicated than they thought. Why you think they haven't, pretty much pressed North Korea? Because North Korea is also heavily into, missile capabilities. They've created missiles. They test them. Okay, so America doesn't basically engage in the countries that are capable, or have missile capabilities, all right? Because that's the equalizer. The missiles is the great equalizer, okay? That's the equalizer. So Iran, of course, they're ally with Russia. So Iran has some very, very, all right, top-of-the-line sophisticated missile technology, because they're allies with Russia. Russia has the most advanced missile technology out of any nation. Okay? They're numero uno. So let's play this video, and we can get into some precepts. And it's no voice on this, so I'll probably stop it and read it a few times. Keyword unprecedented. Iran unveiled a new missile boasting an unprecedented, 1,000-kilometer range. Right there, run it back. Is this deadly weapon Iran's shield from Trump? Absolutely. All right, so things have changed. Okay, that's why America is having a hard time. Usually America would have been rolled on the country. Trump, on the world stage, he said, "Oh, I'm not gonna strike Iran, this, that, and the third." You're not prepared. Okay, this you realize that Iran is, the Carmanians, man, prophesied in, book of Second Ezra. Get exactly Second Ezra 15 or 16. All right, or maybe the 13th chapter. Not mistaken. Matter of fact, we're gonna get that. All right, because this is biblical prophecy. And that's why the other nations, I believe it's Kuwait, for example, Saudi Arabia, okay? That's why they said no to basically you using their airspace, to strike Iran. And you seen the information how basically all these U.S. bases in the Middle East surrounding Iran. Okay, so all those military bases, which we just saw that video. Iran just unveiled a new weapon capable of hitting the U.S. with a range capable of hitting the U.S. But their first targets is going to be those U.S. military bases. Okay, and the countries that host those bases are in danger of those weapons. Okay, so that's why they're saying no, you can't use our airspace. We're not allow you. That's why they pulling troops out of the Middle East, because it won't be safe. Because Iran has these capabilities. Iran has this, technology to accurately hit those targets in the Middle East. Okay, let alone the homeland. So that puts America, that advantage that they usually have. Okay, especially you use you use aircraft carriers, whatever the case may be. But imagine having to fly those bombers or whatever the case may be and travel from America all the way over to the Middle East with no allies to support, to where you can set up shop very close by. All right, and that makes that task a lot easier. But these nations, knowing the capabilities of Iran, knowing that Iran is allies or partners with superpowers like Russia and China, which the news has came out that Russia and China has been arming Iran, these last couple months or whatever the case may be. And that's just, again, we get the information late. So, and this over a decade ago, China and Russia said that any attack on Iran is a threat to their national security, is a threat to Russia and China's national security. So that's already been said. Okay. So here we are. So I'm gonna get this. 2 Ezra 15 and 28 says, "Behold, in horrible vision." So this is what he saw, "an appearance thereof from the east," so the Middle East, "where the nations of the dragons of Arabia, those Arab nations, shall come out with many chariots." It's talking about those military vehicles, military equipment. It says, "And a multitude of them shall be carried as the wind upon the earth." And they're going to come swift, together, strong. It says that all they which hear them may fear and tremble. That assembly, that coalition. Okay? It says also the Carmanians, if you look it up, that's the Iranians today. "Also the Carmanians raging in wrath shall go forth as the wild boars of the wood with great power." And we saw a demonstration of that great power, right? Iran missile Tehran unveils new monster weapon, okay, capable of hitting the U.S. "So with great power shall they come and join battle with them, and shall waste a portion of the land of the Syrians." And the Syrians is talking about America. Okay, they are the modern day Assyrians, modern day Babylonians, modern day Egyptians. All right? But they are, in this case, they are the modern day Assyrians. Okay? This is biblical prophecy. So they say they're going to waste a portion of the land. So, which, I believe they will. The scripture say, "All ye that bend to the bow, shoot at her." So I believe Iran will shoot missiles that will hit the main land. But a portion of the land can also go to the extension of America, which are the military bases. They're going to wipe them out. Okay? And again, we're just speaking to you what the prophecies say. So let's go into the next video here. Or Oreshnik. All right, and this is, again, these 4 days ago. So this is all current news. So Iran came out with new missiles, and here it is, Russia, with these, fairly new missiles, missile technology. So where do you think Iran's getting this help from, man? Yeah, Iran has very intelligent, nuclear scientists. But hey, man, if they buddies with Russia, you don't think that they're gonna have those same capabilities? They're gonna get those same how can I put it? For lack of a better term, you don't think they're gonna get that same knowledge or information concerning those missiles on how to build them? That same technology? Come on, man. All right. Russia being a sworn enemy of the United States, of Babylon the Great. So of course. So again, you want Iran, want to go into Iran. That's gonna be the end of you. That's gonna be that snare that the Lord has set for you. And we know that the small hats are gonna draw you into that, because you really don't want to go to war with Iran. Right? That'll be a whole different type of war. You only bully weak nations that aren't capable of defending themselves. All right? But Iran is very capable of defending itself. Okay, they can't take, on America by themselves. But the point being is the damage, the collateral, will be so great, because that's how capable they are, okay, of defending themselves. It just won't be easy. Okay? Now, of course, America just basically nuke the hell out of them, but the point being, a conventional war will be very difficult. That's the point being. All right? Let's play this.
USA has got Europe in the crosshairs. President Emmanuel Macron has warned that France is within range, with just minutes as a buffer for it to react. European capitals are now scrambling to match Russia's strike power. In fact, the French president has urged his European partners that they need to urgently acquire hypersonic missiles. Our next story brings you the latest on that.
Paris is worried. A new Russian missile has rattled Europe's nerve center. President Macron is warning France could be minutes away from impact. Russia's new generation Oreshnik missile is sending shock waves through European capitals, and Paris is on the edge. French President Emmanuel Macron has warned that the missile has the range and the speed to strike France, forcing Europe to confront a brutal reality. Its skies may not be safe. Russia's Oreshnik is a high-speed maneuverable missile designed to overwhelm air defenses. Analysts say it can travel at hypersonic speeds, sharply reducing reaction time. From launch points inside Russia or Allied territory, the missile could reach Paris in minutes, leaving little room for interception. Oreshnik flies at speeds of 12,300 km per hour. It is stealthy and maneuverable, making it almost unstoppable. The massive range of over 5,000.
And let me make this clear. According to biblical prophecy, Joel, I believe the second chapter, the third chapter, all right, it's impossible to stop those things. All right, it's not almost, it is impossible. As we talking about the will of the Lord is to destroy, all right, Babylon the Great, aka America, by the way of these missiles, by the way of fire. All right, and this is why these European allies are, basically ringing an alarm at America like, hey, once Russia's done with Ukraine, what you think they're going to do with us in Europe? They're afraid of Russia, man. Those Europeans are afraid of Russia. While the U.S. is across the water, across the, I believe what that body of water is the Atlantic. All right. While the U.S. is across the water, across the Atlantic, between two bodies of water, Russia is right on their doorstep. Okay. So what you think? Who you think they're gonna lean more to? Of course, it's Bible prophecy, but man, come on. Europeans already don't like Americans. Okay? They don't.
Kilometer puts several European capitals in its range. This missile can reach London or Paris less than 10 minutes when launched from Belarus.
Less than 10 minutes. So you don't think these Europeans looking at Trump like, bro, you tripping? Come on, man.
France is now urgently pushing Britain and Germany to jointly develop new missile defense systems capable of shooting down Oreshnik.
These people are terrified, bro.
The message from Paris is clear. Europe cannot rely indefinitely on American systems.
So they can't rely on American systems. Why the hell you think that Europe, NATO, they're not allowing Ukraine to become a member? Okay? Because why? That would mean they have to go to war with Russia, man. These people don't want no smoke with Russia, man. Not at all. They don't. These Europeans do not want no problems with Russia. They wish that America would just chill and just stay out of trouble. Like, yo, stop messing with these. They understand thoroughly what will happen, all right, with Russia.
It must build its own shield.
And they can't depend on the U.S. shit because it doesn't work, man. All right? It's trash.
NATO relies heavily on US-built systems such as Patriot and Aegis Ashore. Germany is leading the European Sky Shield initiative, which includes Patriot, Israel's Arrow systems, and short-range defenses like Iris-T. These systems are effective against aircraft and some ballistic missiles, but hypersonic threats are a different beast.
He said hypersonic are a different beast. You ain't stopping these, man.
Oreshnik is designed to exploit those gaps. Its speed.
So they literally build these weapons again. And man, that's why, this is this is, this is clear to me. I came into truth 2012, 2013. I remember first digging into this ministry, this truth, being taught by the apostles and the elder brothers of Great Millstone, and just knowing what to look for, knowing the prophecies, getting on RT. I remember like it was yesterday, 2012, 2013, Russia say they will develop articles saying they will develop a missile that would evade any missile defense system in Europe, because they were pissed off basically about Europe breaking a treaty that it had with Russia, how it will basically not put missile defense systems over in Europe, all right, to basically stop Russia if they were to basically release an attack, that they would be able to knock it out of the skies. Russia said, man, we're gonna lock in and make sure that no missile defense system will be able to stop, all right, these missiles. So here it is, 13, 14 years later, and they created this missile, as this guy just said, exposes those gaps.
Low flight rockets are a different beast. Oreshnik is designed to exploit those gaps.
Oreshnik is designed to exploit those gaps. So it's literally made to circumvent those missile defense systems. Come on, man. They made it specifically for that purpose. So the Spirit of the Lord is on these Russians, man, because it won't be stopped.
And some ballistic missiles. But hypersonic threats are a different beast. Oreshnik is designed to exploit those gaps. Its speed, low flight profile, and evasive maneuvers make interception far more complex. European officials fear that existing radars may detect it too late and current interceptors may not be fast enough. The warning from Paris is not about tomorrow's war. It is about preparedness. Because in modern warfare, minutes matter, and in the age of hypersonic missiles, geography offers no comfort. For Europe, Oreshnik has changed the equation from distant threat to immediate danger. Bureau Report, WION, World is One.
And that's how it is when you have a force. Especially going to sports and football. You see a guy that's good, like Shaq, for example, man. They had to change their whole lineup. They had to change their whole lineup. I remember the one dude from the Ravens, pretty good. At the point where somebody's such a threat, they had to change their whole lineup, their whole defense on how it, just for this one individual. The same thing happening with these this Russian missile technology or capabilities. All right, it's a threat. One thing about this is this is not of men. Okay, this is of the Lord. So they can create the weapons, the defenses, but it's not gonna work, man. Isaiah 54, verse 16, I'll read it in NLT to the left. It says, I have created the blacksmith who fans the coals beneath the forge and makes the weapons of destruction. Let you know, this ain't just talking about the average blacksmith that beat the sword, actual iron sword, and, heat it up, beat it down, and put it in cold water. No, it says the weapons of destruction. So that sword is talking about is the missiles, man. I have created the armies that destroy. All right. So the missiles is a part of the Lord's armies. Okay. So the Lord has given Russia, Iran, China. China was boasting about their missiles. I think they say we're the only one in the world who have hydrogen bomb. I believe China said that recently. I believe it's called the hydrogen bomb. Okay. and all these adversaries of America. So Bible prophecy will be fulfilled. World War III is inevitable. Okay? Despite the little off-ramp. Yeah, but, I heard, watching the brother GMS Kingdom Minded, all praises that is due to that brother, is due to him. And of course, we know call Allah Yahweh Shai because it's him.